Ben Simmons' agent met with the 76ers.
What a transition.
But the sides to a resolution with the NBA trade deadline a month away. Ben Simmons' agent, Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul, met with 76ers president of basketball operations Daryl Morey and general manager Elton Brand on Wednesday. Sources told ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. Here's Woj on SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt.
Philadelphia continues to be content to wait. And, their philosophy all along has been, if we get a trade package back that doesn't make us a championship contender, doesn't get us back to that level that we felt we were with Ben Simmons, we're not doing it. And so I think even with a month left to the deadline, there's a real chance this goes on beyond the deadline.
Oh, it's going to go on beyond the deadline. Daryl Morey ain't budging here. And I don't know what team. I mean, people throw out there the Chicago Bulls, and I'm like, I don't see the Bulls trying to give up Patrick Williams or Kobe White. And is that even enough? Like, you're not going to throw DeMar DeRozan in that package for Ben Simmons. Like, that's going backwards for the Bulls, not going forward. Like, are you looking at the team like the Spurs? They have young assets, but I don't know if Daryl Morey's going to see those assets as championship contending assets. It goes back to, you talk about what's happening with the Portland Trailblazers, but, then you got a lot of their team is hurt. So I think it's going to be a situation where they're going to be stuck.
Why would the Bulls entertain Ben Simmons?
Just people were throwing it out there.
Put him in the dunker spot.
They got Ball. He's there. So what do you need him for?
I could understand. Would be the logic. Patrick Williams is done for the year.
And if he's saying he needs championship caliber players back.
Right. That's the key. But if they could, because Patrick Williams is a guy who could potentially in his career be a real difference maker. It's very early in his career, still developing, now out for the year with an injury. So if you take him, if that's enough, and you could add Kobe White and get back Ben Simmons, very few players are ever going to be as good as Ben Simmons is right now for all his shooting problems. So now the Bulls have Simmons in the dunker spot because it's Lonzo's ball, right? Like, he is the point guard. And now Simmons gives you great defense, which you're going to need against Brooklyn and KD. You have got a guy to put on someone. He gives you incredible passing, right? And in the dunker spot, you don't have to worry about his lack of shooting as much. I get the logic. I understand the logic of it. Neither one of you do?
Not really. No. I mean, I don't.
Well, I tried my
best. I kind of like Austin Rivers said the other day. It's like Ben Simmons' career in Philadelphia is over. Yep. And I think one of the things you're happening, like, Cleveland was a team that people were talking about. Like, if you're JB Bickerstaff right now, you're Cleveland, you see what position they're in the East. Like, I'm not trying to change up the chemistry of that team for Ben Simmons. It leaves you a lot of questions, man, around the scenario.
And Daryl Morey's going to have to get up off his high horse on what he wants back at some point.
Yes.
We'll see.
At some point.
Yeah.
The path for the Nets getting Kyrie Irving full-time. That's coming up next. Keyshawn J. Will and Max sticking with you on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, and Sirius XM Channel 80.
In the NBA, Ben Simmons' agent met with the Sixers front office today to discuss their stalemate. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, Simmons hasn't played this season after asking for a trade. The meeting resulted into no agent of All-Star. Ben Simmons met with the Sixers front office of Daryl Morey and Elton Brand today to discuss the status of their stalemate. Now, Simmons hasn't appeared in a game this year, hasn't practiced with the team since October. Senior NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski joining us. He broke this story. Woj, the trade deadline is February 10th here. What can you tell us about what went on at that meeting today?
Kevin, there were no epiphanies over kale salad, cheesesteak at a Philly lunch today between Rich Paul and Sixers management. Listen, each would have loved to have heard something new from the other side. Rich Paul would have loved to have heard from Sixers management that, hey, we're going to take the best offer out there on Ben Simmons here before the trade deadline and move him on. That's not what Philly's doing. They continue to wait and want to wait to get back, a significant player that keeps them in the championship hunt. And the Sixers would have loved to have heard that Ben Simmons, has a willingness or an ability to come back and rejoin this team this season before a trade happens. And the Sixers did not hear that today from Rich Paul. So listen, I was told the meeting was cordial. These sides have been professional with each other. But this stalemate goes on. The Sixers right now do not have any real traction on a Ben Simmons deal. I talked to teams out there who say not only has Daryl Morey not lowered his expectations for a return on Ben Simmons, they've gotten even a little stiffer in recent weeks. So both sides are dug in, and right now, Ben Simmons remains sidelined in Philly.
All right, the deadline again for a trade is less than a month away. Sixers, by the way, they've won 7 straight, currently sit in the 5th spot in the East. Big game against the Hornets tonight. Woj, let's continue here and talk about another star out of Portland. This news coming in within the last hour. What can you share with us about Damian Lillard's health?
Yeah, Kevin, as our Brian Windhorst reported that Damian Lillard's going to have a surgical procedure on his abdomen this week. Expected to be out at least 6 to 8 weeks. And now for Portland, this is a team, listen, they've been very active in the trade market. They want to continue to build around Damian Lillard, their interim general manager, Joe Cronin. Listen, they've had discussions on players like Robert Covington, Yusuf Nurkic. Now, CJ McCollum has been out, injured, away from the team. He'll come back here at some point. But this is a Portland team now that I think will continue to try to make some deals, continue to try to move toward building a team around Damian Lillard. But now you have a team that certainly may struggle and may have the opportunity to start playing for ping pong balls and higher draft position this summer. Yeah,
they're right in that middle part here. They sit 10th in the West, just a half game inside the cutout for the play-in tournament. All right, more from Woj coming up. Top of the hour on NBA Countdown. Thank you.
Thanks, Kev.
Still to come. It's a very passionate one, right? And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. And right now it's not very good, specifically for Julius Randle and the Knicks. You go back to Monday night, the Knicks played the Spurs. Julius Randle had 2 points, his lowest point total as a Knick. He gets booed off the court at the end of the fourth quarter in what was a blowout win for New York over the Spurs. And as you guys saw coming into this, Julius Randle talked yesterday to the media. I was there for that. And he clearly is still not happy with the situation in New York right now. And if you go back to last year, as you showed in that graphic, the Knicks have the same record as they did last year. The difference was Julius Randle was shooting 10 points better from three-point range and was on his way to making the All-Star team and being an All-NBA level player. And this year, he is not playing at nearly that kind of level, and the fans here have come to expect that. And so they're asking for more from him, and he is clearly frustrated both with his own play and with the reception he's getting from the fans. And it's going to be very interesting to see tonight against a streaking Mavericks team with Luka Doncic coming in here at MSG, if he can get things going and what the reception will be, because, this is something that's not going to go away in one day or in one game. It's probably going to take a little while. And at some point, Julius is going to have to try to turn things around with his relationship with the fans.
Absolutely. The bar has been set, and we know Knicks fans, they got a taste of it last year, and they just want a little bit more. Tim Bontemps, thank you so much for joining us. I do want to come back with Perk and Richard, though, because we mentioned it earlier in the show. The Knicks' opponent tonight is the Dallas Mavericks, and Tim Bontemps just said it. They have won 6 straight. So, Richard, what's been the key to this resurgence we're seeing?
Well, obviously, Luka Doncic has been playing outstanding. They've been doing a lot of things by committee, but, the Dallas Mavericks are one of those teams. They haven't been out of the first round since they got Luka, and you're waiting for them to kind of make this jump. You're making for Luka to go from, Mr. Lovable, everything from the moment he showed up into this league, into one of the baddest, most consistent players in this league. But right now, he's been playing well, doing all the things that you need from him, but it's really just been their team has been playing well.
Well, I think it's more so of the next man up mentality, because Luka has been out, Porzingis has been out, but you have guys like Powell and Maxi Kleber and Bronson
killing.
Cannot finish. That's been killing and stepping up. And on top of that, shout out to J. Kidd, because I see a team, J. Kidd. I see a team that has been coming together on the defensive side of things, on their defensive side of things, rotating, helping the helper, doing all the little things that matter. And they're playing with such joy, whether you're in the starting lineup or not. I watched Tim Hardaway Jr. start for a few games, go to the bench. He still comes in with the right mindset. That speaks of togetherness.
Well, and we'll see if the Mavs are going to be able to extend that streak to 7 games. We talked about it. It is almost time to watch it. The Mavs, the Knicks. 7:30 Eastern, followed by the Nets versus the Bulls. Kyrie Irving will be playing in his 3rd game for the season. So for more on Brooklyn's Big 3, Kirk Goldsberry takes us off the charts.
Kevin Durant and the Nets remain the Vegas favorites to win the NBA title, but do they deserve to be?
I do feel that way.
Okay. The team has now lost 6 of its last 10 games.
A crusher for Brooklyn.
And there are 2 significant reasons to doubt Brooklyn's future.
It starts with one.
First, the Nets' big 3 has been closer to a big 1 or 2. James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving have only been on the court together for 17 minutes this season.
It's not an ideal situation.
That's a problem because when all 3 players have shared the floor since last year, the Nets have scored almost 130 points per 100 possessions, a